Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 2023 meeting of the HARB, Scranton's Historic Architecture Review Board. My name is Richard Leonori, Scranton architect, and I am the chair.
Bill Lesniak, Architectural Heritage Association board member.
Michael Muller, Scranton architect.
Conrad Bosley, real estate broker.
And Brittany, if you'd like to.
Brittany Hamer, coordinator for the boards, commissions, and authorities.
Okay, thank you. We do not have our solicitor with us this evening. Our first item on the agenda is the review of the minutes.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes as circulated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. We have a number of applications this evening to review. And our first is for a certificate of appropriateness for 201 Franklin Avenue for new signage. Brittany, do you have some images to show us?
And I do believe representation from 201 Franklin should be here. Yes. Hi, if you could just come up to the podium. Thank you. Here we go. Counterclockwise.
I'm Debbie Duran from Fusler Signs. I'm representing Penn Fed Credit Union for the signage. I have copies for everyone if they need them.
Ow.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
They told me to send
Normally we
Do you
have
want
six.
one too?
Yes, please.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, this is going on the side. It's going on the side. No, this one's not going to fly, I don't think. Unless
Brittany,
it's
is this different than what you have on screen?
Don't believe so. It shouldn't be, no. This is within the packet here.
They one in the center, the other page.
Want me to go back
Over the
up?
front door, they eliminated a sign.
Oh, up here?
Yeah, at F4, they eliminated that.
Okay.
So which one is eliminated?
The one that's over the entrance door.
All of it. All of it is eliminated over the entrance door?
Is
Yeah.
it eliminated or illuminated?
Eliminated.
Eliminated.
Deleted.
It's deleted.
Yeah, they're looking for internally illuminated channel style letters, which are aluminum and they're face lit. On the Biden elevation, Franklin Avenue elevation, and the rear it's on the top of the building elevation. I'm not sure exactly what street that faces.
So there are actually 3 signs in a row like that? Or no?
Correct, yes. They're 26.24 square feet, which they're very small, consideration for signs, which total 78.72 square feet.
But boy, they're right, bing, 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 right?
Pardon me?
They're right, since the building has a chamfered corner or a 45-degree entrance, they're right next to each other, basically.
Well, yeah, if you look at one side of the building faces Biden Ave, is it Biden Street?
Oh, they're not.
And Franklin Avenue? Yeah, it's totally opposite streets.
Okay, fair enough. You know, this is an odd, I'm going to say the one on the side of the building looks too small to me. Yeah, the one up top, I think it's out of proportion. You know, I mean, you have a big band of the cornice there to work with, and
You're referencing E3?
I'm referencing E3.
E3, yeah, I don't know the reasoning for the sizing.
But I think that it's a little, my sense is if you're going to do it, it could be bigger than that on that. First of all, that doesn't face a public street. You know,
Okay.
it's facing a parking lot.
Well, I could definitely advise them on that to make it larger. I'm sure they'd be more than.
Well, I don't,
happy
we
if
can
it
have a
could
little
be
discussion
possible.
on that. What do you think? I mean, there is a zone, and I think the ones under the window and over the awning seem to fit the zone. You know, they're sized appropriately for the space. My sense is, and it's very hard for me to see that, you know, I'll look at my, but it looks, and they'll all light up the same way, right?
Yeah, they're all designed the same fabrication style.
Yeah.
And, yeah, the logo would be 2 foot 9 inches high, and overall is only 9 foot 6 1/2 inches wide.
So the letters themselves, the face of them is illuminated, but the sides are solid,
They're aluminum, yes.
and the side color is aluminum, like stainless steel, or painted to match the letter?
It's going to be painted the pen-fed blue. If you look at the page where it has the fabrication detail, it shows you the colors on the side.
Got it. And the channel or the raceway is to be painted as well, and that's intended to match the color of the brick?
Correct. Yeah, so it blends with the building, and you basically, you know, don't notice it.
Right.
Notice the letters.
Right. Do you have a better image of that side one or not, Michael?
I guess they're all this dimension.
They're all the same size. Is there a picture of it though located on, maybe it's a matter of placement?
Well, we know it's 14 feet to the chimney.
Yeah, and how long's the
And they're
sign?
9 feet within the 14.
Okay, well, that's not bad, I guess, 9 to 14. It just doesn't, Well, let's talk about the two that are on the facades. Do we have any issues? Any concerns? I think it is appropriate in that it is very close to what PNC Bank has across the street.
Yes,
Very similar, actually.
correct, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, look at, is that, maybe it needs to be dropped here?
Yeah, maybe they could just center it.
I think, yeah, I'm looking at that, I'm thinking that I would, maybe it doesn't have to be changed, I think it's a matter of placement. If you look at perhaps the top of the signage could match the back part of the parapet there, that's sort of a pink color. I mean, dropping it a little bit. I just don't think it's placed well. It doesn't seem to have,
Well, I think the problem is to access wiring and mounting it. Usually we like to through bolt them for, you know, safety reasons. So I think it was designed to fit in the space where it's accessible and able to be connected and mounted properly. I think that's why we did that.
now, and that building's not getting painted on that side or anything, right? It's going to be against the,
No.
It's
no.
against the pink, right? It's kind of a pink band that's painted there. I'm sorry, I was wondering why I had so many here, Michael. Yeah. Okay, do we have, and you're not in control of the awnings?
No.
No. So
I
this is-
believe, from what I understand, they're going to have them recovered. The existing awnings are just going to be recovered with a different color.
Okay. Because my question would be how well they can match those blues. You have two blues, though, in your logo, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to accept the signs as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have 234 Adams Avenue. This is a Windows application.
And you have Michael Stout's presentation.
Okay. Michael, come on up.
I don't have
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Hey, Michael.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, good, good. Are you changing all of the windows on the upper floors?
No, no.
Which ones?
In the photo,
Just on the ends?
yeah, the ones that are circled in red, they're the old wooden double hung with the sash weights in them, and so we wanted to replace them with vinyl windows for more efficiency with heating and things of that nature.
So, well, I guess my recommendation, I don't know what you're proposing here, but do you have a dark brown?
Pardon?
Do you have a dark brown window?
A dark brown.
I mean, if you're proposing white windows, we're going to fail you, okay?
Yeah.
So we need a dark window on this,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
And there will still be one window there that seems to be out of keeping, the one in the center. And boy, it would be nice to have 6 matching windows across there.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for.
They're a newer style window. They were, before we purchased the building, they were already in there. So,
Yeah, well, age doesn't, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Age doesn't mean much to us. You know? So I don't know, I would look to see, because one of those looks like it is brown and the other one is beige. And so, you know, even if you, I mean, that would be the HARB's recommendation, 6 matching windows, all dark brown.
okay.
Okay?
I would go one step further and say if the windows were to be replaced, I would try to accurately match the window that's there, particularly with regards to not only color, but the mullion pattern in the glazing.
Which is like 2/2. Are you able to do that?
I'm not, no.
What would you replace them with, a 1/1?
Well, I'm not
A
familiar with...
1/1?
I'm not a window guy.
Oh, you're not a window
No.
guy.
He's the tenant for.
Yeah, we're the tenant. Window World is doing the,
I see.
installation.
I see. Well, Window World does, I mean, they do have muntins and grids and patterns,
Okay,
you know, so I would look to see, but that's what it is. It's two panes over 2 panes,
okay.
and they may be able to do that. And I certainly would, you know, we want all matching windows on there.
I think the profile of a vinyl window, particularly Window World's product, is, I think, inappropriate for the building. And it's the least expensive window on the market. And I think Richard's right. I think 6 windows instead of the 4 makes more sense. And I would recommend a fiberglass product. I think they're more cost effective than a wood or an aluminum product. And if cost is an issue, the city has a facade grant program,
Okay.
up to $10,000.
Good. So what are we doing with this fellow here? We're sending him back? He's going to come back to us? Ask him, I think we're going to ask you to come back.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're going to be pretty clear what we want. We want a match set, we want them dark, we want them, you know, in kind if they can.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I
Do we
have
need
a
a vote?
motion? I need a formal motion on that to deny the,
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we deny the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 and just so you know, just to come back, you don't have to pay again. Just fill out another application and you won't have to do it again, okay?
Yeah, it does.
You're welcome.
It does.
I'll be talking to you.
Yes, it does. Okay, next, 116 North Washington Avenue, windows awning masonry.
Yes. Thank you. Are you Kayla? Nice to meet you.
This is quite extensive, what you're proposing.
So, good evening, Charles Jefferson.
Yes.
I am the owner of the building. What you have in front of you, the first two stapled copies, the top copy is what we had submitted. The second copy has some minor corrections since we submitted that, and I can walk you through those.
Did you say the second set's more accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it does, if we're going to put the first set up here, that's fine, I can walk you through. I think you'll be pleased with the second set because there were a couple of things that just from a technical standpoint did not make sense, and from an aesthetic standpoint, I felt that the modifications that we made in the interim between submitting and this copy that you have in front of you, I think you'll find much more appealing.
So Charlie, it's all dark bronze, right? Is that right?
Yes.
All dark bronze.
Yes.
And the sort of yellow brick that's on the first floor is to be painted, or?
So, so the brick confounds me because it does not appear original. We had extensive research on trying to determine whether or not that brick was original, and we were just not able to find any original documentation. It's an odd brick. It's a glazed, speckled brick. It's just it's odd. It's
Yeah.
odd. And
I don't think it's original. I think it's a replacement.
the only thing that puzzles me about that is if you look at the far right side of the front facade on the ground floor elevation, those windows appear to be at least 1930s, 1940s. So, you know, in comparison to the age of the building, it's just, the windows are old, but that brick just does not look like anything that would have been there 100 years ago.
No, I agree with you. So what are you doing with it?
So, so the second set, so what we did, if you want to turn to, I believe, just bear with me, A105. A105 on the upper portion of the of the drawing that you have in front of you is an architectural rendering. The original submission, if you want to pull up A105 for me, please. Keep going. Oh, keep going, keep going. Yep, keep going. A little bit more, a little bit more. Keep going. Yep, this one. Keep going. There you go. So what our renderer had, that's fine, right there. So what our renderer had originally, I'm sorry.
You could just speak into the mic, I'm sorry. You're on the camera, so it's...
I'm loud enough, but okay. So what our renderer had originally shown, if you look at the upper drawing there, it appears that retail signage band, if you will, almost reads as a transom light, and it's actually not. It's actually, so what I had him do in the revised submission is separate that so that it definitely reads as a signage band and not as a transom light. The windows are still the same, but now I think the distance between the actual storefront opening and the signage band actually reads much better, and I think it's a better presentation. Obviously, we're not going to put retail above each one.
Right.
But the thought,
Are you going to keep the empanada guy?
I like the blade sign, and I can give you a ton of historical references for North Washington as well as Wyoming as well as Lackawanna, where blade signs, and particularly illuminated blade signs, were the norm 100 years ago.
Sure.
But he didn't go with the guy I wanted him to go with, so that's a whole nother story. But the thought process there is to have those, and obviously, you know, when you look at the far right, it says retail, retail, retail over 3 openings. There would only be 1 because that's just one retail location.
Right.
And the other 3 to the right, or to the left rather, of the main entrance those are 3 individual retails. So they would be different signs. And they would be a backlit, illuminated, raised letter sign that would be on a backdrop that would make it, stand a little bit proud of the facade. So basically what we're proposing to do on the ground floor elevation is to take the brick. There's a company that we've been working with, which is they do a brick staining. We've had a couple of test patterns done, and we're going to do the brick, in as much as this rendering is representative of it, we're going to do the brick in a more complementary color that would make the ground floor look more like it is part of the building than it does today. Right. And it would have a speckled look to it. It would essentially have the same look as the brick now, only it would be more of I guess it's not beige, it's limestone color.
Yeah, limestone color.
Yeah. And more in the color of the brick that's above it and on the side. The storefronts would be changed to aluminum storefronts. And if I can draw your attention to, bear with me for a second. I can draw your attention to A103 in that revised submission. We adjusted some of all of the storefronts to eliminate the horizontal mullion there that kind of mimicked some kind of, I don't want to call it a transom, but I don't think it was appropriate. So we eliminated the horizontal mullion in those locations and went with two vertical panels. Ideally, I would like to do each of those openings as a single piece of glass, but I believe they exceed the unified inches that are the constraint for a single piece of glass. So what I would like to do in those openings, although the drawing is a little misleading, I'd like to do a very similar treatment as what we did at 200 Adams, which is a butt glaze section, so that it reads as a single piece of glass, which is what it would have been, 100 years ago. But unfortunately, manufacturing being what it is, I'm at the mercy of whoever makes that piece of glass. And if I could get a single piece, I will, but I don't think I can. So that's why it's shown the
Are
way.
you working with PHMC on this? Is this a text?
It is not. It is
Okay,
not.
So we are the final judges then?
I'm sorry.
I don't have to worry about PHMC. We can make these
That's right.
decisions. Yeah.
You are the ultimate arbiter.
We are the ultimate arbiter. Yes. Because if it were a tax act
Yeah.
project and it had to go to Pennsylvania Historic Commission, they may not,
Yeah. So,
buy into something like that. Yeah.
the retail entrances, I believe they're 8Os, which I think is more in keeping with the opening that's there. I think that, obviously on the elevation drawing, you can't see the depth, but, retail 1, which is the far left, that is a little bit inset. Retail 2 is at the building facade. Retail 3 is inset, and it's under the little canopy / marquee that we're building. And then the empanada guy is at the end there. And that's flush with the front facade of the building. Essentially, the modifications / improvements to the front facade are to color the brick in a more appropriate manner, replace the storefronts with a newer storefront that would be the bronze anodized or black, whichever you prefer. And then the main modifications to the front facade are basically to take the entrance there, which previously had that lovely green canopy that went out to the curb line, and remove that, which we already have removed, and to take a projection of somewhere between 2 and 4 feet, whatever is most appropriate, to put this little canopy / marquee there. We thought about taking it and just making it over where the main entrance is, but then it would seem very off and would seem unbalanced and when you look at the facade. The building, if you're looking at A103, the building from column line 5 to the left is the original structure. The building from column line 5 to the right is, I'm sorry, column line 5 to the right is the original structure. That is a steel-framed building. From column line 5 to the left is a poured-in-place concrete column with steel reinforcing and steel reinforcing slab in it. It's quite the structure because it says to me that there was some kind of heavy loads on the floor, which I've never been able to prove, but nevertheless, that's what the structure is. So that center portion almost, it begs to have that marquee over the whole thing, which includes that one retail, which that's okay. I mean, I could cut it back, but it just doesn't seem right to cut it back. It seems like it wants to be, symmetrical with the building. So, that projection would be very simple. There's some details in there. As I said, it would come out, somewhere between 2 and 4 feet, and it would be an element that basically would announce the entrance of the structure of the building.
On the court there, are you able to remove all of that ventilation, or does that have to remain?
Not inexpensively, but that's my goal. The only challenge I have with that is I do not have a tenant on the second floor. The tenant I have going in on the third floor, which we're underway with their improvements, and I've already laid out the entire floor, and I have pathway for the exhaust shaft through the third floor. I just have to work with Tim Lenahan Dempsey to get pathway through the fourth floor.
Good.
Which I'm sure will be painful.
Good. I'm sure it'll be painful too, but I commend you.
But it should have never been allowed there to begin with, because the code-wise for an exhaust shaft, a fan of that magnitude should not be within 10 feet of an operable sash, and it was put there, and unfortunately, I mean, there's a number of those throughout the downtown, and it is what it is. But in order for me to be able to, and if I can draw your attention to, I believe it is A107 and 108 in more detail, I think that removing that certainly makes that alley much more aesthetically pleasing, and it also makes that side retail much more marketable.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
It's pretty hideous right now.
I think if you, that could add some life to that corner, I think, opening that up. I think
Yes.
it's
And which brings me actually to the other modification from the drawings. And if you look at, just again, please bear with me. If you look at A104 compared to what was submitted shows this retail, which is really a little bit of overzealousness by my renderer, because to the right here is a structural steel column.
Yeah.
So I could have never executed that. I mean, I could have, but
Yeah.
there's the money to cut that column and bridge that window is crazy.
Yeah.
So we moved that window over, put it in line with the windows above, which I think in retrospect actually makes more sense and looks much better, because the way it is now, it kind of looks a little, haphazard. Putting in the line with the windows above it, I think makes more sense. So that's what we did. And also doing it that way, I believe those square windows you see, I believe they were constructed with a lintel that went across the entire opening. So when we do investigation, I'm either have to needle in a beam, or I'm going to use what I believe is going to be a piece of steel that goes across that entire opening, because they wouldn't have done just, this and then a little piece and then this. They would have put a lintel across the whole thing to carry the brick above. So those are the changes. As a side note, I ultimately want to do the windows that are shown on the second floor, on the first floor, and on the fourth. The fourth is a little more complicated than the second floor because the fourth floor has a tenant in the entire space. And unfortunately, the way this facade is shown, that tenant space has ACT that runs into that horizontal mullion that you see is blacked out. So it's not a very practical thing for me to do at this time. But down the road, I think the tenant has about 3.5 years left on their lease or something like that. Down the road, my intention is to take the second floor window configuration, do the third floor window configuration, do the fourth floor, and I may actually even do the second floor this go round. But I don't want to commit to that because, it's a dollars and cents thing.
And Charlie, you are or are not filling in the gap at the front parapet?
I'm sorry?
The front parapet, you are or are not filling it in?
So that's an interesting question. And there are some indications, I'm looking at A103, there are some indications that there may have been some type of ornamental ironwork that spanned from column line 8 to column line 5. I've not been able to find anything, as far as what that was. So at this point in time, our intention is to do nothing there.
Do nothing, okay. Because the drawings are not clear, and the drawings look like you're filling it in.
No.
But
There's
okay,
nothing
but
going
you're-
from...
But there's nothing going
No,
there?
no,
It's the existing condition?
Yeah, if I can find what was there, and again, I think it was some kind of ornamental ironwork. If you look at the building next to it, I have pictures of the building next to it, the building to the left. There was, as would have been typical, at the upper parapet of any of the structure,
sort
there was
of
something that announced what the building was.
Right.
And I think that's what may have been there, but I've not been able to find anything. If somebody can find something, I'm happy to take a look at it.
I have a few questions, Charlie, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
The second floor along, I guess, is that Center Street, the side elevation?
Yes.
Currently, there looks like solid transoms above those windows. Are they glass and painted over, or are they solid infill? Are they solid infill panels, or are those glass windows painted over?
It depends on if you call 3/4 inch ply solid.
Okay.
But your intention is to remove all that and replace it
Yes.
with glazing?
Yes.
And the glazing that would go in would be clear glass, not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Spandrel.
The interior renovation takes full advantage of those windows and those, I'll call them transoms, but that upper portion of this divided light configuration is all glass. There's no spandrel glass or anything like that.
Okay. The entry on the side, which I believe is currently a service entrance for the kitchen, that'll remain a service entry for the kitchen.
There's actually, A104 shows that. I don't know why it's shown as a flat elevation, and then there's an angle shown for that canopy, or that marquee rather. That should be a straight canopy. It should be shown as a straight line there because it's coming off of that. But both openings underneath that marquee are going to be covered by that marquee. So right now it shows that, I don't know whether that is, what is that, a parallelogram or whatever the heck that thing.
Yeah, I interpret that as a shadow
Yeah.
being cast from the roof projecting.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But there's doors below that. One of them is a service door to the kitchen, and the other would be an entrance to the retail?
Yep.
Got it.
Both of those doors exist right now.
Oh, understand.
Yeah. So they're not, and they're both, one is set back, I think, a foot further than the other, and the one that's set back a foot further is the retail one, which is on the right. But they remain as they are.
Understand. And then my last question is with regards to the first two squarish windows turning the corner behind that. Is that the restrooms, or is there an opportunity for that to be moved?
Those are both restrooms.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have one more question, sorry. Does this application include facade lighting, or are we not talking about that yet?
If you go to the last drawing, I think it's A108, the proposed facade lighting is above the first floor corner span, and it's on the I don't know what the correct word, pilaster pillar, but it's on those at a little bit above that cornice. The way the light is shown is not 100% correct. It'll actually be more of a narrow focused beam, and it will go up much further to illuminate the architectural features between the third and fourth floors, because there are some, if you go to, I think it's A102, no, it's not A102, it's A101, you can kind of see those architectural features, embellishments on the third, it's between the third and fourth floor. It's almost at the floor line of the fourth floor. There's some nice articulation there, and I think that if you create a narrow beam and you shoot that up, those features will really look good.
Is it your intention to have those powered from through the pilaster, or would we see exposed conduit on the exterior?
You already know the answer to that. I'm not running exposed conduit.
We've seen it, so I had to ask.
The tough thing is, you know, because the right side of the entrance is steel, obviously you can't go directly through it because so I got to figure out, I mean, there might be a little bit of an offset to be able to get past that structural steel.
Well, if you're low enough to that cornice, I think you won't see it from the sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is run it along the cornice, but if I do, it's going to be run back, but that's not what I want to do. I want to bury it inside the second floor. The good thing is, I don't have tenants in those units. The bad thing is I don't have tenants in those units.
Yes, okay.
And
So-
the canopies themselves, is that
I think,
solid perimeter with a fabric awning, or?
no.
solid-
This is it's a metal perimeter. I believe we submitted some type of cut sheets on that. There's a product out there. It's basically a solid perimeter. The ceiling or flat portion of it will be opaque. Very much like 200 Adams has that opaque glass, as well as 101 Penn. And the intention there is, I want the light to shine through. I don't want it to. I don't want you to be in a cave when you're over
Right.
there. That's
Right.
just that's not appropriate.
I don't have any more questions.
Conrad?
No.
Bill? Katie? A motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Second?
I'll second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Wait,
great.
so that was Conrad?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Charlie, I think it looks great. Lots of luck.
Thank you. Can I just add one thing?
Yeah?
Your motion was as submitted, but I gave you modified drawings. I don't want to, so as long as you're okay with the modified drawings.
I'll make a motion to approve the application as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Much luck with it. Okay. Now, we're at Certificate of Appropriateness for 103 Lackawanna Avenue, Pocono Sign Company.
It's going to take a minute for me to get to this. Hold on a second. There we go. All right.
I saw you had my application. I'm sorry, I didn't print 6 copies of the application, like the renderings with it, but I do realize they're going to be up on the screen.
Okay.
It is a very simple sign, from my point of view. Very simplistic sign. They're looking for samples, right? Stuff like that. Metal.
Why? No. Go away. Go, thank you. Bye-bye.
There are only 2 different logo variations that the client would like to take prints on.
Do we have an image of this on the building?
So it is at Penn Furniture. On the,
Brittany, can you zoom in on the pictures for us?
on each wall elevation, it lists the square footage of that wall elevation. The by code usable sign space due to the square footage of that wall, each imprint is under that amount. Essentially those, it's like a taupe or yellow, a cream, and a black variation of our logo. There are 2 more rectangular and then 1 linear. The application for mounting mechanism, we were going to do something that I have used at HARB Museum, which I had to come before you all. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yes.
their product. It's a tensioning system. We didn't do that because it would cause a lot more penetrations than needed. So what we are doing is we are going to make a pole pocket banner. We are going to be putting a pole or a metal inside the pole pocket and fastening through the pole so your fasteners actually won't be visible. Any ones that do have to be visible will be touched up as per the VO art color. There are a total of 3.
Lauren,
Yes.
if you could just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. There are a total of 3. 1 facing Mifflin Ave, 1 facing Franklin, and, or actually, pardon me, 2 facing Franklin, and then I guess 1 technically facing Lackawanna, but they're in that parking area. There is 1 that is existing, if you notice, that will be removed, and that new imprint will be in that place.
They will all be the same color?
They all will be a variation of that black and taupe. Yes.
Now I have to back out. Hang on 1 second.
I think I did print that.
You did. It's just, it's on here and it's blown up at the moment. So
Oh, sorry.
It's not being shown.
But yes, it's just going to be their generic logo. I tried to see if they could maybe add a phone number or something, but they just simply wanted to just imprint that. I don't foresee them changing this over quite frequently, as I did see the need for the HARB Museum, and that's why we also use that tensioning system for the ease of that. This is more of a permanent imprint that they just wanted to put their logo on and not really put maybe like a advertising
Right.
per se application.
Can you describe the attachment mechanism again?
So the attachment, so it's a brick facade, concrete, so we're gonna just use a concrete fastener right through the aluminum tubing that I'm gonna be putting into the pole pockets of the banner.
And how frequent are those attachments?
Typically, anywhere from like 8 to 12 inches
All along the outside edge?
on
All
the,
around-
on the perimeter
all
of the
around the
imprint.
perimeter.
Correct, yes. Correct.
look
And
like
as you can see, on the top page of my packet did show one that is in the field in Taylor. That's on the corner, and you visibly cannot see any of those fasteners.
This building is, since it was party walls that have been
Richard,
demolished.
can
Oh,
you-
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Since it was party walls that have been demolished, the building's fairly rough. Are you going to have any problems with that in terms of the material?
So we ran into that issue with we also installed a Krispy Kreme over by the new Scranton Counseling Building. We ran into those issues. The brick facade was off level. So what we do is we shim that normally if we have to with either a pressure treated wood blocking or another metal block, like a tubing block essentially, to offset that. So it is a even, well-stretched banner. I don't want it looking like a crumbled piece of paper,
Well, I don't think
you know?
I don't
mean-
think Penn Furniture would want to look that way
No.
either. Okay? It's
So,
just that I
but
do
we
know
do
that,
shim it and
I
block
do
it.
know that brick is not
I
a,
have not been up yet with my lift, well, not myself, but my husband
Yeah.
and my crew have not been up there on the lift yet. We wanted to see if this, if you would be accepting of this, and then so we're going to be doing a survey to see what we would need to do in order to make that a level plane for the banner.
What are the current signs on these facades now?
I didn't catch that.
What are the current signs on these facades now?
Now, they have the front imprint. I did not handle that. It's just their logo, Penn Furniture above their door, and then that
It's
imprint.
painted.
It's painted almost
They
type
have a
of,
painted sign on one of the facades.
on one of them. But that's really it, from what my knowledge is, from me looking at the project recently.
I mean, with all due respect, I personally don't care for this as a solution for this building. I think a painted sign would look nicer for this building, for the brick, and I think it's less damaging to the facade given the amount of attachments for the size we're talking. So that's my comment.
are they planning to paint the building?
That I do not know, sir.
Okay.
That I do not know.
Any other,
Can you go back to the, where you see all the size of the signs?
The aerial.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
It's okay.
I would have printed that too. I apologize.
Here we go. I can find it. Sorry, guys.
I'm in trouble, sorry.
It really is. It's not
Not
trying to
cooperating with you.
try it back out again. Where'd it go? There we
It's,
go. It's up.
there we are. That main white one is would you like to see the aerial, I'm sorry, or would you like to see the actual, the two that show each, the ones that show each imprint with the
Each
square
on the
footage?
buildings, yeah,
With the
right?
square footage
The
allotment?
size, yeah. I believe that's the one.
I gotta go all the way over. There we go.
There they are.
Sorry, guys.
So this would be the one facing Mifflin, right here, the 30 by 44. Then the one below it is, there are two, yeah, I'm sorry, it's a double for some reason in the file, but the next one down is the two that are in the parking area that are facing the Franklin and Lackawanna.
That just looks huge.
they are enormous. They're enormous.
And do we know which will have the dark background with the light writing?
I don't. If there is
Okay.
a preference, you know, I think they're open to using either of those imprints.
Okay.
Whether it is the negative or the positive of that logo. So that is, if you have a preference, I think that they are fine with either. I just asked them what artwork were they going to want to use for the first project, and they said those are the only two art files that they would be interested at this time using as an imprint. So I'm sure that either if you have a preference, you can certainly let us know that.
Because I agree about the painting, but if that's not realistic for some reason, I certainly think when you look at the size of them, the dark background would be less apparent than, I mean, I realize you want an apparent sign, but, yeah,
I think the sign is very readable on the dark background.
yes,
The dark background might be more forgiving
right,
for the building.
right.
The building is shabby, the building needs paint. So anything, I mean, putting a new
Yeah.
shiny sign on there is not going to make this thing, if they don't paint around it or paint with it. I'm sorry, if they don't paint around it and with it, it's, you know, I don't think necessarily we're going to get the effect, you know? I mean,
Are those representations of the signs on those two slides in scale
Yes, sir.
to the building? Okay.
they're enormous, Conrad. These are enormous, okay? Yeah, I mean, this is something you hang on the George Washington Bridge. It's enormous. You know, don't, you know.
I mean, if there's a certain,
But it's okay, the building is enormous, and the
It
building
is.
is blank, you know.
it is, and it was a very open canvas, and
Yeah.
so when we looked at the wall space and saw what the allotment was, they wanted to maximize it, obviously, as does anyone, if it's tasteful.
I think my concern is that if these become signs today, they're there, and tomorrow they can become billboards, just like that. And having billboards at that scale in this building seems bad for the historic district. And so with that, I'll make a motion to deny the application for the reasons stated, including, I think, the irreversible damage to the building for the signage installation.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Now, I think if we're going to do that, we need to give some,
Now, there's
you know,
a suggestion-
there's very little graphic and a lot of blank space. I mean, if this was simply the
Like
graphic.
paint that shape black and then put a small sign on. that says pen
That's
French.
what I'm gonna ask, because there's,
See,
they
that-
may
I mean,
ask for
there's a-
feedback
there's-
that you might find more tasteful, and I'm interested in that to let my client know.
There is a solution there. If you, yeah, exactly. Paint the rectangle black and then, just the sign. It'd be
Minimize
the same
actual
size.
imprint.
It would be the same size as what you have, but it wouldn't be, this enormous, enormous sheet of vinyl.
All right, so if I re-render something, talk with my client, maybe do that painting, and then maybe that will also help what your concerns were with the condition of the exterior.
Well, yeah,
the
I think,
exterior
yeah,
facade.
I mean, what I think more than anything, the building needs a paint job, and so,
Well, I'm just a sign guy. I'm just a sign guy. I can't help you there. But what I can do is certainly, bring these remarks back to my client, let them know, and see if that's something they're interested in doing, and then re-present to you come next meeting. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
And again, you don't have to,
Yes.
yeah,
Thank
you okay?
Good. We'll see you again.
Yes, I'm sure
Okay,
you will.
okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Blackledge, you have two projects here. Come on up. How are you, Paul? Very good. Okay, the first one is Jefferson Avenue, so that is for the Colonnade, I assume. And then 404 North Washington, which is for Posh.
Correct. So I'm actually seeking the facade grant funding through Scranton tomorrow for both of the properties.
Okay.
The maximum, I think, is $10,000. So within that, speaking about the Colonnade, we have several projects that we're looking to fund. One of them is to replace the lanterns that are attached to the structure at the front door, both patio doors, and one at the rear. Those lanterns are through Cooper Electric. They're manufactured here in Pennsylvania, so we thought that was something very nice. And then another project is some additional uplighting on the property. And thirdly, I think, is raising the patio. We've had the patio has settled at the door entrances and as well as at the handicapped entrance. So although a wheelchair can still get in, it has sunk down at least 1.5 inches there. So we want to have that raised up through a process where they drill a hole in the patio and inject a slurry product and raise it up. So all told, those projects exceed the 10,000, but if you guys were amenable to approving those, we could make up the differences.
Okay. Well, you guys do a wonderful job, and the property always looks good.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
What are the colors of the light fixtures?
Black.
That's my question.
And the lanterns are on the colonnade, on the porch.
Correct.
Right? They're inside, yeah.
I have a,
And they're not the original lanterns. that are
they're
there.
not what?
The original lanterns that were there.
No, the ones that are there now were a big box store purchase 15
Gotcha.
years ago.
Fair enough.
But I do have an image if you'd like to see it. I did send something through, or I gave a hard copy in my paperwork, but I don't have a handout.
Yeah, I think this is it right here.
Okay.
That?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
The only thing about, I don't know where the placement is, Paul, something like, I would trust you guys, but 6'8", you don't want that to be a head knocker?
Correct. They are quite high.
They're quite high, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve this application.
Second?
Wait,
Sec-
which, because there was a
We're
colonnade
looking at
in
the
this.
colonnade.
You're looking at
Colonnade,
colonnade.
yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Posh yet.
Second.
Second, Katie, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So again, for Posh, I'm also seeking the facade grant funding to focus on what we call the portico or the front porch of Posh. There's been, even before we took over the property, there was significant water damage, and
Right.
over time things have gone into disrepair. So we have a quote to reface the 2 square posts that are on the outermost corners, replacing all of the trim that has rotted away or fallen down, recaulk, prime, and paint all of the white front porch surfaces, and mortaring bricks and slate on that front porch, because some, especially on the lower portion, the the porch surface itself. There was slate on the outer edge that has fallen away due to water infiltration. So they would be able to repair all of that.
Well, I mean, there are some pretty obvious bad repairs on that porch. And so, and it's pretty obvious what it should be, right? And you found somebody to be able to do that kind of work.
Yes. Yes.
You familiar with that? Yeah, okay. So, any comments? Any more comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Good luck with these, Paul, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us something easy.
So that's not open anymore.
Which? It is for
It's not, it's just for events, right?
events and scheduled parties. It's not as a, yeah. Well, no. By, proposing some sort of electronic sign or some sort of, that's all we get here. I mean, they can't put enough lights on this town. You know? Yes.
Person that was here for that signage, is that like considered a banner?
It's, yeah, I think, but it's an enormous
It's only a
scale.
banner if it's affixed temporarily, and you can get a banner permit, but I think it's only for 30 days.
Correct, because we had that issue at Posh. We had a banner on the side,
Yes.
mulberry side, and
Yes.
it was longer than 30 days. We didn't know that requirement at the time.
Right.
But if I permanently affixed it, does that make a difference?
Yes.
No, you could have a banner as you had, but you need a sign permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that didn't exist back then.
He does want to light up signs.
All righty, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, those are our applications for the evening. Topics of discussion here. We need to reschedule the June meeting, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay.
I will be on a plane coming back
Okay.
from Hawaii, so I'm not trying to come to work that
Okay.
day.
Well, at this point, I don't think I have any problem with that. June 22nd will be the June meeting of the HARB.
Yes, and I will advertise that in upcoming.
That doesn't require a vote, does it?
Yes, it does, actually.
Oh, okay. Do we have then a motion to accept the rescheduling of the HARB meeting for June?
I'll make a motion to reschedule our June meeting to June 22nd at 5:30 PM.
Is
I
there a
appreciate
second?
that.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Conrad. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
And then we have invoices.
You only have one.
Oh, we only have one?
Yeah.
It's the Scranton Times, and it's for the great amount of $100.60.
Yes.
May I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a,
Okay.
I'll second.
anyway.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The only, if we have anything to talk about, I do know that there were some issues this week. I had some phone calls regarding preparation for the wall for the the mural, right? Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I think where it was left was that the preparation is not something that will be permanently exposed. It will be covered when the mural happens. This is, so in any event, it probably should have come here, but we did, in general, we approved the mural. I'm not sure we approved the mural. This is for the TV show, the Office.
The Office
mural.
You asked for the mural to come back so you could see the colors.
And I do,
They haven't come back for that
they haven't
yet.
come back yet.
No.
They will come back, I do
Yes.
believe. Yes. But they needed to patch the stucco. And so they were not, the lift was there to do the work, but they weren't issued a permit because it did not come before HARB, okay? So I kind of pushed that through, which maybe was illegal, I don't know, but, you know, they were paying $1,000 a day for the lift. The lift would have to remobilize, you know, and whatever they're doing there is simply a patch.
I think if we could just go forward, when you guys are reviewing things like murals, where things might be covered, if we could just do approval of if they have to futurely go and, you know, fix stucco or whatever, if in that motion you can say that covers everybody's behinds.
Right. So we maybe didn't quite handle that the right way.
So that's why I asked for now going forward, if your motions could just be specific. That would be great,
Yes.
because I don't want to have emails, you know, that I'm wrong, or if I'm telling
Understood.
somebody wrong, I want to be specific to what you guys are saying, and, you know, that's all I ask.
I have an item for discussion, and I noticed it was in the paper this morning. There was a parking authority meeting, and there was a conversation about the visibility of handicap parking spots throughout downtown. And the comment from the board was that they were going to paint the curbs blue.
Oh.
And I don't know what, if any, role the HARB would have in that, but I think it would be inappropriate for our granite curbs to be painted.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that is I have to ask the solicitor, our solicitors, that
And
question.
maybe at a
because-
minimum, I could recommend that we send a letter to the parking authority, letting them know that that would be our recommendation, sort of proactively.
Yes.
Not that they would be the ones making the paint.
Yes, the other, and I don't know, they also, you know, this was attempted here in Scranton. You know, our curbs in general are, they're not all one material, and some of them are in really bad shape. And at one point in time, they started painting them red, and, you know, it was just horrendous. You know, they can maybe do this in California if their concrete isn't crumbling or something like that. But, you know, if there is something like that, we think it should come before the HARB.
Yeah.
Okay, and
like I
we
said, I
should,
just-
and we should not paint granite curbs blue. We should not paint granite curbs.
That I understand. Like I said, I have to double check all of this with our city solicitors and code enforcement and DPW, because that is also, there's an extenuating piece to that, is ADA compliance.
Right.
Sure.
So I'm not sure if who trumps who here, but.
Sure. And I'm
we
quite
have to-
familiar with the accessibility requirements, and the requirements do not suggest painting the curb blue.
Right. They do not. Yeah.
All right.
It's about signage.
Do they
Yeah.
suggest painting any?
No, they're not
No.
required to paint anything
No.
blue, except
Yeah.
the stripe on the road, which they.
Right.
But technically, the spots also need to have a side aisle of access, which none of our handicap spots have. So if we're going to be making recommendations as a city for what a handicap spot should be, we should meet the requirements.
Right.
And none of the requirements call for the granite to be painted blue. So,
Okay.
for whatever that's worth.
Good.
On another note, if you've driven into Scranton from coming in Mulberry Street from North Scranton, the color of the facing wall or the cooler of Dunkin' Donuts has been painted.
It's much better, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it is so much better. Oh, my God, it is so much better. Yes, she said they were going to, okay, but it is so much better. To be greeted by Dunkin' Donuts cooling tower, I know. Yeah, after you come 3 miles down, a beautiful expressway, actually. Shame.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.